right now. Okay, we're live. Thank you so much, everyone. We're so excited for you to be here. Hi, I'm your moderator. I'm Shava Raquel. I am the Vice President of the International Youth Conference, International Organization of Youth, and I'm also coordinating the new division on environmental affairs, Tierra Nuestra, piloting in Latin America. And I'm so excited to be here with you all in this panel of Indigenous Youth and Diplomacy for Peace and Culture. Now, this panel features Indigenous youth speakers from Hawaii, Australia, Aotearoa, Senate, too, and well, the pronunciation is a learning process as well. But I'm so deeply honored as we are here all to learn about these incredible speakers who will be sharing about their leading efforts to promote peace, defend cultural heritage, territory, and advocate for Indigenous rights through diplomacy. So this session will highlight the power of Indigenous youth voices in shaping global conversations around justice, identity, and sustainable futures. Give it up for them, everyone. And for that, I will pass and yield the word to Jerome so that we can introduce officially this panel. Jerome?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Jerome. I'm a walker, 1962, belonging both to Australia and Aotearoa. Last year, I attended IYC and I spoke, and I was compelled to make sure and to ensure that I brought my people with me this time. And I think it's very important that when we do diplomacy, when we have these conversations, when we talk about policy, when we talk about SDGs, it is very important that Indigenous people are vital to these conversations, therefore we must be included. And so I wanted to bring my brothers and sisters with me this year. So we're very honored to be here to speak about our experiences from the Pacific for our families, our communities, and our people. I want to say thank you to all the people that have supported us, Amay, Amanda, Ruby, and Ali, to ensure that we're here speaking today and to support us, especially Daniel, who has welcomed us and will be taking us to his lands once we're finished with IOC. So yeah, before we begin, I'd like to say thank you to you.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jerome. We're really happy to have you here. And personally, I think that getting the ancestral Indigenous knowledge through this conference is so important to know about the context, the culture, and the symbolic part of it, and how we use not only from like elders, Danny was amazing in the opening ceremony too, but from like the intergenerational justice and equity point of view, how we can then connect this better, right? So with us here, we have great panelists. We have Sion, which is who is a Panay woman through her father's line, belonging to Mabuya Island, and Harawai woman through her mother's line. She was born in Townsville and grew up in both Kirby Bay and Townsville. She recently earned a Bachelor of Environmental Science, minoring in animal ecology from the University of the Sunshine Coast. Thank you so much for being here. We also have the Awa. He is currently a student at the University of Waikato, studying Bachelor of Arts and majoring in both Maori language and Indigenous studies. Through his mother's lineage, he hails from the beautiful land of Aotearoa. Hope you can pronounce that well. And in Plenary. And through his father's lineage, he hails from the beautiful island of Hawaii. Thank you so much. And we have Hawaii from, again, Aotearoa, New Zealand. And his father's line, he's Waikato, Tainui. And his mother's line, he's Taranaki, Iwi. And well, he works as a cultural ambassador across Waikato, and the Matawanui. I hope that you please please repeat that again. But yeah, teaching Maori customs, language, and tradition in communities, schools, and organizations. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you.
I will give you the microphone for you to tell us a little bit more about your stories, about why are you here in this world, tell us a little bit more, aside from what you're studying, aside from your passions, interests, in what ways do you think and do you envision your Indigenous heritage and your Indigenous background to correlate to the world views and how these pathways build sustainable peace within tech-cross communities? So please share us a little bit about your own stories, if possible, some examples about your life, about your community as well. We want to hear you out. We want to learn from you. Thank you so much. And whoever wants to start first, maybe we can go first with Sion.
Hello everybody, I'm excited to be here. A little bit nervous. I'm a proud Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman. I live in Harvey Bay, which is a small seaside town in Queensland, Australia. I currently work for the Butler Native Title Aboriginal Corporation, where I am actually a land and sea ranger, where I spend my days monitoring and making sure that our traditional lands are being kept and preserved. I work with a lot of stakeholders, government organisations and NGOs to create and co-design projects to ensure that we're working together to manage and conserve our cultural heritage, but also protect the environment for all to enjoy, because where I live is a tourist destination, so that kind of is put before our cultural heritage, and so that, yeah, by me working on the land, it ensures that I'm doing my bit to make sure that our future generations can enjoy what we're enjoying today, because, you know, our future is, it's near, and so our youth deserve to also enjoy the cultural traditions and see what we see today. And I believe that our ways of being and our knowledge of interconnectedness with the world around us, it gives us a greater sense of responsibility to ensure that we're protecting the land, sea, the skies, and just gives emphasis on that by us sharing those deep values of respect and reciprocity for the land and having that symbiotic relationship with it, we can show others that this is the way forward, that by placing ourselves back into nature, we can ensure that we are on level and in harmony with all things. We're not above or below it. We are in line and in balance with stuff like that. So, I'll pass it on.
Thank you.
Firstly, aloha everyone, my brothers and sisters. Firstly, I'd just like to acknowledge Shuda and IYC and the University of UCLA for allowing us this opportunity to be here to represent not only ourselves, but our families, our people, where we come from. Malaila. Nā makua mai ka la hiki a ka la kau, mai ka hoku i a ka la wai. Nā makua i a ka ina kua, i a ka ina alo, i a ka kau i ka lani, o ki hai ka lani, o wei ka lani, nunulu i ka lani, ka holo i ka lani. E ia ka pula o kou ka la hui Hawaii. E ho mai ka ike, e ho mai ka ikaika, e ho mai ki a ka mai, e ho mai ka mapupono, e ho mai ka iki papalua, e ho mai ka mana, e ho Hawaii. Firstly, that was a bit of a chant of prayer to acknowledge my people in Hawaii, my ancestors, those who have come before us, and those who will come in the near future. But firstly, yeah, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Te Awa Manning. I grew up on the island of Hawaii, Moku o Keawe, immersed in my language and my culture, and also the practices of our people. I like to look back at hula. Hula is the heartbeat of our people. Hula is our performing arts. It's a way of us connecting to our ancestors, us telling our stories through dance, through song, through chanting. And that's one way that I can connect back to my ancestors and hopefully showcase to you guys someday. But I take this time to, yes, acknowledge my ancestors, but put forth that hula was my sort of guiding vehicle, guiding force to. I am the person that I am today because of hula, because of my ancestral practices, because of those ancestral practices, and those were a few things that were stripped away from us as Po'e Hawaii, as Kanaka Maoli. When I say Kanaka Maoli, that is the native people of the Hawaiian ancestral lands. So it holds a deep part in my heart, and I love to showcase it with you guys today. So throughout my kōrero, throughout my talk today, you will hear me refer back to hula and a lot of what our ancestors have done to bring the person that I am today in front of you guys. So all that being said, mahalo nui a o pakahi pau from the bottom of our hearts, for my people in Hawaii, here in Cap, all the way here to California. Laila, mahalo nui a o. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Whihei mauri ora, whihei mauri ora I tainga, whihei mauri ora ki te whainga, whihei mauri ora ki te ao marama. E toi rangi, e toi matsua, e toi amapa ki ngā au e whihei mauri ora. Hello, everyone. My name is Awaiki. I come from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Firstly, I'd like to thank you, Sugar, for opening space for us. To everybody who's involved in IYC, as well as UCLA and Mihiana, and I thank you. And thank you to Southside. I come from a world where cultural heritage is huge. I come from a kura, or a school. It's fully immersed in the Maori language. So my English is still progressing. However, Maori language is what makes me who I am. My grandparents were a part of the establishment of our cultural school in our small town of Rahui Pōkeka. They were fighters. They had to fight for our language, they had to fight for our traditions. My parents had to learn our traditions, but we get to live it. And I think it is very important for us, Māori, Hawaii, people of the world, to know who you come from, to know what you come from, is to know where you're going. So for us, we have an obligation to maintain our mana, which is our dignity and our value of people of the land. So that's a little bit about me, and that is what I carry with myself everywhere I go. Oreira e mihi ana kia koutou katoa. Thank you.
If you want to also mention something, okay, perfect. So I'm so happy, and your words are so powerful, and the language is also so powerful. I believe that there's a lot of power in our native languages and the culture and the background of it. It's not just words.
Mhm.
It has the whole history behind the words and the people that have get to lose that as part of themselves, right? And part of the community. So thank you so much for those so inspiring words of introduction to this panel. So as you may already know, this panel is really connected to diplomacy. So my question for you guys is, how can, as Indigenous youth, you can use diplomacy, you can use all of these so important ancestral tools that you have from generations back to advocate for the protection of your cultures, the territory, the rights of national and international stages. Yes, if you can share with us a little bit about any of the knowledge, generational knowledge that the world can also hear about, that the world can also learn from, about peace, about culture, about basic human rights.
Um, so I believe that you can use diplomacy as a powerful tool in order by leveraging our traditional knowledges and modern systems. By joining them together, we can create a strong and powerful force that can bring about change and also gives us, like by doing panels like this with collective Indigenous people together, we all share the same kind of common goals. We want our languages to be acknowledged, we want our cultures and traditions to be respected and heard, but also be a part of policy and change making decisions that affect our future generations. Like that's our, for me as an Aboriginal woman, it's my responsibility to make sure that my children and my grandchildren and their great-grandchildren also have the knowledges, the language connected to country, and just having respect for all living things and our non-human kin, and that there is strength in unity, and it gives us the space to be able to come as we are. We're Indigenous people, but we also we wear multiple hats. Like I'm an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman, but I also can be an environmental scientist or a community services worker or anything else I choose to step myself in. But I always come back to, I always know that first and foremost, I am an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman. I'm proud of my culture, my people and my ancestors. And that by having the wider community and world respect those things and not just see my other tags that I wear, the scientists and all that stuff. That's respect who I am first, helps other people have greater understanding of our knowledges, and that we are peaceful people. We want to create a peaceful future for our children and for the world, and to know that when our time comes to go, we have left the world in an even better place for them than what we are experiencing now. And so I believe that, by just having respect and stuff for our people, we really can just ensure that our kids get to enjoy the future to how they should be and how they want to be, not how we want it to be, how they want to be. So by including them, it should be.
I think I remember your question. But my answer to that is this. These sorts of things, this is the physical embodiment of protecting, preserving, and practicing your culture. It's these sorts of exchanges, these sorts of partnerships with Indigenous people all over the world. And this is just a small example of it in front of you all today. So to answer your question, to protect those things, I believe it's these sorts of Indigenous exchanges, Indigenous partnerships. And I go back to a lot of my upbringing. I was quite exposed to it at a pretty young age through both my Māori and Hawaiian lineage. I was lucky enough to be a part of many exchanges that I didn't know at the time. I didn't know at the time was so beneficial to me to this day, because it's those things that make me realize how important it is to know who you are, know your culture, know your language, and all of those things are a privilege. I tell myself, knowing your culture, knowing your language is a big privilege, because not all Indigenous people have that opportunity. So yes, these sorts of partnerships and exchanges really, in my head, solve a little bit of that issue to protect and to preserve what rightfully belongs to you and your people. But yeah, that's just a little bit of how my upbringing went and how I see it playing out today in front of in front of all of us today, but in front of many other cultures as well. I recently came back from Canada a few months ago on an exchange with the native people there and the indigenous people there, and we share our histories, we share our adversities, our hard times. Those are the things that connect us to find a better future, not only for us here living in this present day, but most importantly, mga uri whakaeke, for our generations to come. And that's the key. We want to make sure that we can give forth the best for our future generations, because that's what our ancestors, that's what our kupuna did for us. I believe they put their best foot forward for us to live the best life that we could within our culture, embedded in those things. So it's only right for us to carry on those traditions and keep practicing, preserving, and protecting our culture with Indigenous exchanges like this. So, yeah, kia ora.
Tēnā koe awa. Wherever I go into the world, as I said before, I carry with me my culture. And a big part of it is a prophecy that came from a second Maori king. E kore tēnei oranga, e huri ki tua wa moko puna. And this life of all will be passed down to my grandchildren. Mākua no e hanga I tōku nei whare. I will fashion my own house. Ke ngā tōpito o te ao o Pune Hoa. And he spoke about that my friends will come from all four corners of the world. And so for us, we are open to these exchanges. When united, we flourish. And so back home, we have cultural exchanges with people of Africa. And we have an annual back and forth rotation, so they come and visit, and we visit them. We learn the systems and how they work, and how we can pull from those resources to sharpen our own tools, so that when we go home, we can continue to build and grow our foundations. And so, to be open to the differences is quite key. To be able to work together and to move forward as one. And so those are some of the things I'd like to take with me. And of course, the three values that our Māori king left behind for us, and that is te ture, te whakapono, me te aroha. And te ture, what he meant by this was, te ture is to live by the law of the land and only take what you need. Te whakapono is to have faith in what you believe in. Engari, te mea nui ko te aroha. But he said, but above all, it's important to have love for one another. And these are the three values that within Māori we like to carry to help guide us in this day and age. And so things like this, I believe, is embodiments of upholding those beliefs. And of course, having love for one another. You know, we just got to know these people along the strip, and they're already feeling like my cousins and uncles. And so, I think that's what I'd like to touch on. Kelvin, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm just like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really deeply like inspired by what you're mentioning and how all of these translations about what you're saying really deeply resonates for what we are needing and or what we're fighting right now on the crisis that we're living throughout the entire planet. And how have been advocated for generations and generations to come, right? And how we can still be part of these knowledge, how can be part of, well, together, of course. As you mentioned, you talk with other Native people from Alaska, Canada, and we have from other parts of the world. I myself am really close to Mexican, Native, and Indigenous communities, and it's important to build community. And well, I have a last question, but I would love for us to open the floor for any questions. We have a small 10 minutes window. So anyone here in the audience in person, we are live streaming online, as you may already know. So if there are any questions online, please, you're welcome to also share your questions to the amazing speakers that we have right now in stage. So if anybody wants to ask anything, please raise your hand and we will send the mic to you. Yes.
Thank you so much for your testimonies. I'm curious, from your perspective, what do you see as the biggest threat from the environment to your cultures at the moment and your cultural practices? And what do you see as sort of the solution? Is it through diplomacy? And do you feel like that's helping you solve, some of these really difficult issues that you're facing?
Thank you for your question. Personally, I believe some of the areas that Indigenous people can come across as back home in a lot of areas, it can be embarrassing to be Maori. It can be embarrassing to have cultural backgrounds and heritage for some of our kids back home. And so for me, and as a part of my job, I like to go out and remind everybody that to have a cultural background or heritage is truly a gift. It is important to know that. Yeah, and it open up pathways for younger ones like ourselves, and not just to be put on stage for show. Back home we have what we call haka, which is the Māori version of the hula, and we're going to share that with you here on today's panel. But yeah, I think that's kind of my. If you truly believe in who you are, then I believe there's nothing that can hold you back from pursuing who you are as well. Yeah. Here's another one.
Yeah. To go back to the question, bro. Thank you. I think simply it's colonial impact. Personally, for Native Hawaiian people, and I can speak on behalf of some other Indigenous cultures, but it's that can be seen as a threat or a barrier. Is the impact of colonization on people, and it becomes somewhat of a trauma for all generations, not only youth. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But yes, colonization being seen as the threat or the barrier, it's something that, yes, it's happened, but we can't dwell on it too much. So a solution for myself is to focus on things that you can make better. Focus on things that you can make better, make that the priority, and look for better outcomes that you can seek sort of change. Because we know this has happened. We can't just forget it. Like we move on from it. It is embedded in our history, but we can move on. Well, we can move on from it in a way where we can look for different opportunities, and opportunity like that is exposing your youth to things like this or any sort of culture exchanges. So it goes back to that diplomacy of exposing your youth to events like this and showcasing them how much of a privilege it is to know your culture, but how cool it is as well to stand proud for yourself and for your and for your ancestors as well. So I hope that kind of gives you somewhat of a solution, right? But yeah, we don't.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for your question. As an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman, one of the threats and barriers I see for us is our loss of our land and our lack of access to it. We're still living under, we have to go through 10 loopholes just to be able to actually go back on our country and practice our traditional ways. We can't go to a lot of our sacred sites because it's been overdeveloped. A lot of our sacred sites and our high-rise buildings and car parks and stuff like that. And so that to me is a threat to our cultural preservation, because a lot of our cultures and Indigenous cultures around the world, the foundations are about respect for the land and the animals and the plants and the skies. Like that's our family, that's our brothers, our sisters, our aunties, our uncles, and our grandparents, all the trees, all the rocks. Everything has a place. And so we now live in a world where we have over commoditized nature. We see what nature can give us and get us, as opposed to what it can give us internally, and the peace that we can feel within ourselves and our communities that can create ripple effects to go forward into the future. And so if there is no land, for me, there's no, we can't practice our traditions. We can go into spaces like this or in other spaces, but we want to be able to be who we are and do what we have always been doing for generations and generations, out on country, out on land, without there being those barriers put in front of us for us to access. We should be able to go and practice our traditions openly, not just as a part of an event or a conference. We should be able to practice our traditions every single day, how we want them, and be in control of how we do those things, and being able to follow our laws and our traditions. Like in my community, we follow 3 bachelor laws. Number 1, what's good for the land must come first. Number 2, if you have plenty, you must share. And 3, don't take what isn't yours. And so I believe that gives us that, greater respect to carry forward our culture, but also creates greater equal equity for everybody to be on the same level. Everyone gets to have a go. Everyone gets to share. And so we try very hard to just maintain that cultural connection to country, to bring our kids up in culture, to make sure that they're learning their languages, but also giving our places back their names and reinstating the Indigenous places and our names. Like where I come from, we have the largest sand island in the world, a World Heritage, UNESCO listed, and everyone knows it as Fraser Islands. But 4 years ago, our community was able to negotiate with levels of government and communities and community consultation to be able to legally get her name changed back to the traditional name of Gari, which so that although generations before us and now know her as Fraser Island, our future and our kids will know it as Gari again, the way that she's always been thinking. And I find that's very important, that we re-indigenize the land, and that creates a space for all to be connected back into nature. And that goes for Indigenous, non-Indigenous. That's who we are, is that we are a part of nature. We aren't in it, above it or below it. That's who we are. And I think that we forget that a lot, and that Indigenous knowledges and traditions and ways can help everybody reconnect to themselves. And that's how we create a better future and a peaceful, sustainable future for all.
Oh yeah, this has been so great. Very final dinner. I just want, while we're wrapping up, we have a great surprise at the end. But I just want to close up by thanking you so much, deeply, from the bottom of our hearts, on behalf of advocacy, for coming all this way and to share all of these important knowledge, all of these important shared experiences. What you mentioned, everything. I just want to, everything like stuck with me. The colonization historic shared past that we have, and how we see neo-colonized like cases and attitudes now from extractivism, from the lands, the resources, everything. How we can be, not how we can, but how we must be proud of who we are in our past and how we can share these proudness, right? So to close this powerful panel, let us remember that the road to sustainable peace is not a new invention. It's not something from the present. It is a path long walked by Indigenous people, rooted in reciprocity, respect for life, and deep connections to territory and spirit. So let this not be the end of the conversation, but the renewal of commitment to walk alongside Indigenous youth, the ancestral knowledge, to open doors where they have been shut, and to honor the peace that is not only the absence of violence, but the preservance of justice, culture, and the connection to our earth and to others in this world. So thank you so much, and I will yield back the word to Jerome, because we have a special final surprise for you all to close this with. Well, there's a thing in Spanish. Broche de oro.
Well, as I've said, we like to talk about culture, and so what that means is we want to share a little bit about who we are, the people, and hopefully get to know who you are as well. This one song talks about the importance of weaving together our mana. And it's Hakatauki or proverb, with your strength, with mine, we can make it happen.
Thank you so much, guys. That was the perfect ending ever. Thank you so much, everyone. We have another panel right coming up in 10 minutes in the main room.